Who am I? I'm Rose Rock. What does that mean? Okay, you know, my claim to fame really is being Chris Rock's mom, but I'm so much more than that, and I'm so over everybody calling me Chris Rock's mom. But anyway, I'm here today because we're doing a parenting conference, and there is such a need now to reach out to parents to not only be better parents, but to be advocates for their children. Our children are in crisis mode. They're failing in school, the behavior outside of the schools and whatnot, and I'm old school, and basically I believe that everything starts in the home. However, I think that some parents, if you're really a young parent, you don't really have points of reference. And so that's where the community comes in. I think we need to have more quality parental stuff, things that can teach these young people what they need to do to be better parents.
And being that you've raised such a successful child, you know,
a lot of them.
people probably look up to you and they ask you, you know, what is that like, sort of being a mentor to a lot of these parents that come here?
Well, you know, one thing with me is, I don't know if you're familiar with my book, Mama Rox Rules, 10 Lessons for Raising a House Full of Successful Children. I have raised 10 children, 7 birth children, 3 given children, who all went on to be very, very, very successful. Chris is the one you see, not necessarily the most successful one, but he's the one that's in, you know, in the media. But the thing in doing that is the commitment to being a parent. And that's why I think people ask me, well, how did you do it? And why I'm the go-to guy, sort of, you know. And my thing is a lot of rules and a lot of structure and a lot of love.
Raising 10 kids, I mean, that it couldn't have been easy. I mean,
but it's not supposed to be easy. That's the whole thing with life, is that we look for the easy way out. There's no easy way out. If you raise 2 kids, it's not easy. If you raise 1 kid well, it's not easy.
With the day we live in, you know, now, and parents have these, you know, these social media outlets and these things that they do and they post and things like that. Do you think that's actually hindered how we parent and how we look at children and we view parenthood?
You know, that is the main thing I get when I'm doing a conference, is a parent will say, well, you know, it's different now. Children are different and they're exposed to this, that, and the other. And my thing is, children are no different now than they were in 1940, than they were in 1960, or whatever. We choose to parent differently. Kids are no different. They want the same thing. They want love, they want structure, they want order in their lives. And if we are not the people that do that, then they have chaos. So it's, yeah, we're bombarded with media. But guess what? Every TV set comes with the on and off switch. They're bombarded with things outside of the home. But guess what? As a parent, we are the filters. We are the one to filter everything that they are exposed to, that they see, or whatever. My kids listen to X-rated CDs or whatever, but it was up to me to also listen and say, hey, did you hear what he said? This is not acceptable.
When do you think that we went on a different path as far as parenting?
You know, what happened is that one of the things that's really happened is that all of a sudden there was a need for both parents to work outside the home. We all of a sudden have so many single parent homes. You know that the average kid thinks that a mother and a father in a home is something that's on TV. It's like a TV show, because they never see that. And so one of the things with parenting is that if you're working 9 to 5, your child gets home at 3. If you have not put that structure down, then you have a child that's running wild from 3 to 5 or 6 or whatever time you come home. You're also dealing with a lot of young women who still have a life that they want to live. They have a child that they're ill prepared for, probably don't even like very well, but they're stuck with. And so there goes a whole nother range of parenting. You have grandparents and great-grandparents that are now burdened with raising kids again after, thinking that they're through.
For you, is it difficult to get rid of the image of just Chris Rock's mom? When you come to events like this, just talking to you now, it doesn't seem like that's even a motion with your whole your speech. It's not even something you want to even dwell on. This is, yes, I'm this, but this is what we're here about. How difficult is that to separate it?
It is so difficult. And case in point, I'm at a conference in Sacramento, and I am in my zone, and I think I'm just doing so well, and I go to do the Q&A. And I'm thinking, with so many hands up, that the first question is going to be about something that I spoke about. And a lady stands up, and she raises her hand, and she says, "Are you like Rochelle?" So it's really hard. It's hard. And that's one of the things I'm hoping to accomplish, is to separate Rose Rock from Chris Rock, because I am my own person.
What do you sort of, if you had one main point to give to parents, or one main sort of advice, what would it be? Would it be, stop trying to be a friend? Would it be start being a parent? What would it be?
I don't know, and you hit that on the head, because my first chapter in Mama Rox Rules is I'm your mama, not your friend. But I have 3 things that I say to parents, and the first is that it is easier to build a child than to repair an adult. And that bears repeating. It is easier to build a child than to repair an adult. The other is you only get one chance to raise a good child. Only one chance. It starts at birth. And the other is your children are your message that you send out into the world. And so whatever you send out, it should be a good message, because your children, whatever you give them, that's what they take in. No more, no less.
You said that bears repeating. I mean, do you find yourself, is this difficult, trying to reach parents sometimes?
It is.
You've been reaching kids your entire life, but is it difficult to tell?
It's so difficult. And the thing is, like today, this place should be packed. But I understand that there are some festivals going on, so I'm going to take that as a sign that maybe we won't get as many. But just the mere fact that we are here and that the community is opening this forum up so that they can talk and, air concerns about your children, wouldn't you want to be here? I just, I find that always gets me, that we have so many people. And I hate to say the word, don't care. Yeah, because the people who come to this today are the ones that are always there. Yeah.
What do you think the one major concern is affecting parents right now? If it's not social media, if it's not the television, what is the one thing that parents really need to look at to guide their children?
One of the things is, where do you want your children to be? What's your vision for your children? Some parents don't have visions for themselves, and if you don't have a vision for yourself, how can you have a vision for your child? But usually when a baby is born, you look at him and you can think, oh my God, he might be the next president, or he might be whatever. And from that day forward, you're preparing them for that. But what happens when you haven't been prepared and you're ill-equipped to prepare this child? That's what we are dealing with now.
What do you want parents, even though they might be the ones that do come, to these things often, what do you want them to walk away differently from Rose Rock than they would, say, someone else?
If walking away from me, I want people to know that I'm committed to seeing children in a better space. I'm not a role model, and I travel, I do a lot of things, but the one thing that I am proud of that I'm a mom. So I don't have to put degrees behind my name. Behind my name is M-O-M. I'm a good, caring mother. And if I could impart some of that, because the bottom line is I'm not going to be here, but when I leave, I want my children to carry on my legacy. I want my children to be proud of who I was, what I said, doors I opened for other people. Like my husband died young, but one of the things that about him is that he left such a great legacy in the way that he had already formatted our sons. You know, everything they do, when I look, it's like a blueprint from things that he did, and that's what I want to do. I want to leave a blueprint and say, hey, Mama Rox said that.
You know, losing your husband at such a young age for him, you know, you've been on both sides. You've been a parent with a couple, you've been a single mother.
Yes.
You know, does that make it easier for you to reach a whole wide range of audience?
I think so, because I know what it's like to have to go from, you know, when my husband died, I didn't know that the car didn't have gas in it. I thought the car was always full. You know, so to go from that kind of life to having to not only take care of myself, I had to do a lot of growing up, and to fulfill a promise that I promised him as he was dying, that I would raise our children the same way that he and I originally planned to raise them, because we had made, you know, we had made a conscious decision on how we were going to raise our children, and what we were going to let go, and what we were, you know, going to do in order to do the job that we wanted to do. So I had to do that by myself. So I totally understand what it's like. I totally understand. I worked, I taught, I came home, I had to go to baseball practice, I had to run to this, and especially when you have a large, you know, a large family. Plus we had foster children. So it wasn't easy. But like I said, it's not supposed to be easy.
Just and to summarize, you know, what we talked about here, the one thing you want to, you know, drill to these parents is structure. I mean, structure. There's a chapter in my book that says no child really wants to be left alone. Every child wants to know that somebody cares enough to have a meal on the table at a regular time, that I have a bedtime, that somebody wants to see me in bed by 9:30 or 10 o'clock, that my comings and goings are monitored. Somebody cares where I go. Every child wants that. They may say they don't want it, they want it. And as far and wide as you've gone, you know, is it the same old story no matter if you're in Georgetown, if you're in Sacramento, if you're back up in New York? Is it
no matter where I go, it's the same people. It's the same stories. And now it has no color lines anymore, and it has no economic lines anymore.